Hello, future doctors and fellow veterinary enthusiasts. My name is Dr. Hannah May, and this is the Dying Breed podcast, episode 3. This is brought to you by Glenwood and Silt veterinary clinics in Colorado. And I'm sitting here with two new characters on our podcast. And I'll go ahead and just let them introduce themselves because they're two amazing people.
You go first. Okay, I'll go first. My name is Sam Johnson. I am a veterinarian in Glenwood Springs, Colorado, and now Silt, Colorado. We own two practices, both mixed animal practices. The original Glenwood Vet Clinic was started in 1936. I bought into the practice in 2018. I did my undergraduate degree at Boston College, graduate degree at Colorado State, and then I was an intern at Equine Medical Center of Ocala. Yeah, on to you.
I'm Dr. J. Merriam. I'm a retired equine veterinarian. I only practiced for 55 years, but I'm just about to get the hang of it. I retired 10 years ago to Glenwood Springs, Colorado, where my family lives. And I still am involved, fortunately, with Dr. Sam and wonderful people at Glenwood Vet in terms of helping them with surgical cases and sometimes some of the oddball things that show up. I've been a surgeon most of my career. I have a master's degree in surgery, which I got from Auburn University 4 years after I graduated from Kansas State University. And I've taught surgery. I've done surgery on horses, race horses, show horses, dying donkeys, you name it. Surgery is my specialty if there is one. But we're going to talk more about some of the other things that we've done in the career that I've had over the last 55 years.
Thank you both for being here today. And I'll just start off by asking how you guys ended up meeting each other.
I can't actually remember really.
We had a mutual friend, and then you called me one time. I remember you calling and saying, well, would you come in and just talk to us? We just bought this clinic. So we got to know each other through talking, and then gradually it blossomed into a wonderful friendship. And we've got professional relationships that go back to at least 2018.
Yeah, years now.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. No, I mean, yeah, I mean, you've been. I think how many crypt orchids have we done together
I
now?
don't know.
But whether on FaceTime or in person.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I've called you for several surgeries. You helped me a lot with, we did some SIs. I've obviously brought you in on a few challenging lameness cases.
Right.
Secondary benefit has been all of our veterinarians have all gotten to know you, and generally everyone has the same feelings, which is we just wish we could have more of you. So
If I had to say what was my specialty by the end of the career, it was sports medicine, not surgery. I did surgery for years, but sports medicine on show horses and jumpers. And I've had Olympic patients. I've had all sorts of national champion. Morgan horses were a huge part of my career in the last 10 years. So I see a lot of locomotor problems. And the interesting thing was, in doing all this, I have learned more and more about donkeys who limp, horses who carry huge loads in the third world who are limping, and finding that we can help them through an awful lot of things with just good education. So it translates pretty well.
How did you start with horses?
I grew up in a little town in Kansas and had my first horse when I was 14. My parents were not agricultural, but this was a very agricultural community. And I grew up riding my little horse around all over the place. And plus, I hung around with a local veterinarian and who had a nice big mixed practice. And I learned a lot of things. And he inspired me to go on to vet school and at Kansas State. So that's what got it started. And then the rest was becoming a specialist in the species, which was kind of rare back then, but it didn't matter. Away we went.
And then how about you as well?
I always knew I wanted to be a veterinarian, or at least my parents say that. You know, whether it was right out of the womb or a couple of years in, it's hard to say. But just always around animals, you know, always had was bringing something home, right? You know, raccoons, snakes.
Snakes.
Yes, my mother was thrilled. And you know, we had, I mean, throughout my childhood, we had one dog, and then all of a sudden, suddenly we had five animals. Really, where it kind of started for me was at the animal shelter. I started volunteering at the shelter. I was in kitty comfort, and I would hang out with all the cats and kind of try to get them socialized, I guess, you know, all the sad cats. So, and then I was, you know, an adoption counselor at the same shelter, the Denver Dumb Friends League. Then I started kind of getting into, you know, hospitals, vet med. So, was able to start working at, you know, animal emergency and specialty in Parker. Some really great people there. They were kind of the first people that put things in my hands. You know, they put catheters in my hands, they put needles in my hands. They, other than restocking, you know, they allowed me to do some of these things that I think really get you excited to become a veterinarian. Um, and there were some really, really great doctors there, probably still are. After that, did college, worked at some different small animal clinics there. You know, my main interest was always marine mammals. That was something I really wanted to do. I lived on the Galapagos for a while when I was in college, and so marine mammals were really exciting for me. But certainly, I found quickly in vet school that the way to work with marine mammals is via microscope in in the veterinary world. So I spent a lot of time in my beginning of vet school looking at sea otter hearts. So yes, so valvular endocarditis is a thing in sea otters, in case you wanted to know.
Wow.
And that is something that has been very crucial information that I've taken with me for
Yeah,
my career.
naturally.
Um, but again, I found out pretty quickly I didn't really want to work with dead animals. I wanted to be able to help animals. That was always kind of the goal. So there's not a lot of necessarily helping the marine mammal group. Although I did spend some time at the Navy Marine Mammal Center in San Diego,
Oh,
and that was quite fun. That's still my dream job if they're hiring. But then somewhere along the line in vet school, I kind of decided that I really enjoyed equine medicine. You know, I think it was Dr. Richard Wheeler. Do you remember him?
No.
Oh, you don't. Okay, he's great. He's hilarious. But I went on a truck with him, and we did a bunch of stuff in Fort Collins with horses. He also does a lot of canine reproduction, which I found out quickly I do not want to do that actually ever. It's horrifying. And then I went down with a vet, Natalie Lamneck, in Florida, and she was amazing. We went out and we were just like running the entire time on ambulatory, you know, seeing colic, seeing, you know, just kind of your backyard type stuff. Just, you know, it was fun, but it was,
and that's how you learn.
yeah, it was just a blast. And I said, you know, maybe this is what I want to do. I mean, it was just it was wild. And so then that's kind of what prompted me to say I'm going to try to do this equine internship. And if I told myself if I can make it through the equine internship, tongue in cheek, I almost did. I can make it through the equine internship, then I'll know by the end that I want to work on horses, and or I'll know this was not for me. And I think by the end of it, I kind of had made the decision that I really enjoyed equine medicine. There was still a lot to learn. Um, Maybe that was more what I came to the conclusion of, was I wasn't quite done with it yet. You know, there was still a lot that I wanted to learn and get better at. And so yeah, now I'm here.
It's crazy to think of like what a switch that was for you. But I think it just all like leads into everything that each of us three are passionate about and what we kind of want to talk about in the podcast is like supporting people who want to get into equine medicine, whether they've started out in it and have experience or if they've not. It sounds like that's a common passion of all three of us.
90% of your horse owners these days have never had a horse, didn't grow up with a horse.
Yeah.
got them as a recreational vehicle, love them to death. It's pretty different in how you have to relate to those people, but I think they're easier to relate to because they're starting from a question of love and want to rather than this is how we do it, son. And the ranchers will sometimes be harsh judges of a young vet, which is very discouraging in many cases. And then they wonder why they don't get very good service. Nobody wants to deal with you, old grouch. So it's one of those things that it's a mixed bag. But nowadays, the urban horse owner is very well educated and willing to be educated, willing to be trained, be shown, be taught all the right things to do. So I much prefer to deal with them. The other subject that you alluded to, Sam, that students in general do not have as much clinical experience as they need. And it's true. Every veterinary school that I know of, and now there are what, 36 or 38 vet
A
schools
lot.
in the country. All of the none of the new ones have a clinic associated with them. They're strictly
Hmm.
didactic. They're learning factories. They learn all this. You pass a test. You learn this. You pass a test. They wait until their third year, sometimes fourth year, and then send them out to a practice situation and say, oh, by the way, you need some clinical training. So it's a disaster. Medical schools are the same way. I have an answer. We have, we have over the years, we have, besides being a professor at 2 vet schools in my career part-time, we have always faced this problem. One of the answers is pretty simple. Either go to the public service community. In small animals, they do the free spay and neuter clinics all over Colorado. That's one way where students can get some real hands-on experience. In our case, we took students to the third world.
Hmm.
And we've taken students to Mexico, Dominican Republic, Nicaragua, Chile, you name it. They go, and in those situations, clients are not nearly as demanding. They're so grateful for everything students do, and students can come in and learn under guidance. This isn't a free for all, but learn how to handle animals who do not like people in general, who are not pets, but they're good, solid animals with a case of something that is going to teach you as a student something valuable you'll never forget. So it's funny, we were in Nicaragua one year, and right down the street from our clinic facility and where we were handling a lot of animals was a human hospital. And almost all of the interns and senior students there were Americans who paid the hospital to let them come and work for 6 months in the emergency ward, the maternity ward, whatever they want, because they needed to get hands-on experience with patients.
Oh, wow.
And the people in these countries are more than happy to have somebody who wears a white coat and has a little stethoscope on. That's a doctor. Doesn't matter. So we've used that model many, many years now, where our students get to go and basically under supervision can do anything that they need to do. Venipuncture, joint injection, uh, all sorts of castrations, all sorts of field surgeries, dentistry, you name it, under supervision. But they see more cases in a week than they'll see in their entire career in a veterinary school.
Yeah.
So that's been very, very helpful, and I see it as an actual trend. I mean, schools are actually adopting this sort of a model.
Yeah.
Michigan State University has a module available to senior students, 6 weeks. They call it a clerkship, but 6 weeks of clinical training in Mexico with a group that we helped start many years ago, which mixes American and Mexican veterinary students. They put them together, pair them up, and they take them in the field, and we have all sorts of stuff going on. But this is a 6-week program because, again, at Michigan State, they were not seeing the numbers and types of cases they needed to see.
Yeah.
So these young students come back with their heads spinning and full of knowledge. And it's plus, it's a charitable outreach. I mean, it's a good thing. And that's one of the other focuses of my career has been, I learned early on that charity made me feel better than almost anything I did, helping out somebody who had no hope of paying me, but had some interesting cases and some real problems with their animals. So helping the animal first. So the we started two charities, which I'll talk about later, but they basically one of the aims of both charities is to involve student participation.
That's wonderful. I mean, I think that that's like the most ideal situation of like benefiting, like you've talked about, benefiting these people and these animals who need help, and then also benefiting the students.
Right.
I wish I knew about it when I was a student because I would have.
Oh, it's never too late. You can sign up.
I will.
All right. Dr. Sam knows about this. You can sign up. He says he got COVID and couldn't go. He was just scared.
Yeah. So what happened?
Yeah, I was scared of getting everyone sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about the Equitarian Initiative and also like I want to know what started it. But first we have to talk about what it is.
In 2010, my wife and I and another veterinarian started a program called the Equitarian Initiative. And if you just think about the word, it'll come to you what it means. Some doctors without borders are humanitarians. Well, we are equitarians. This was the offshoot of work that I had done with a project I started with another friend in the Dominican Republic 35 years ago, which was a project to assist a veterinarian in a little town in the middle of the Dominican Republic, actually the farthest point in the Dominican Republic, who said to him when he was there on vacation, bring some friends down and help us. We have a lot of bad problems with horses and dogs. And so we showed up and been going there for 35 years now. We have this particular week that I'm talking to you now, we have a team of 25 veterinarians, techs, nurses, and support staff in Samana, the Dominican Republic, doing spay and neuter week, which is just phenomenal. Started off with me and Bob and another guy doing spaying cats on the office desk of our friendly veterinarian down there 35 years ago. So, and then in July or August rather, they will take a team of equine veterinarians down there and they'll castrate 50 or 60 horses in 4 days and they'll look at 200 or 300 more. One of the key parts of that is that the president of that association, of that charity now, Project Samana, is a student from the University of Georgia that came to me seeking equine experience because she had none, but she always knew she wanted to do horse work. So she was with me early on in that project, both at our clinic and then in the relief project, and has been so involved in it since then. She's taken it over. I've retired. She's done that project, and she's a partner in a big small animal practice in Atlanta, and then she does her horse work in the Dominican Republic. So the point is that your career can be bent and shaped in many ways that you can't even imagine. So don't give up hope. Try something unique. To get back to the Equitarian Initiative, my wife and I decided we would do one with just horse vets, just equine vets, that would be focused on the working horses, donkeys, and mules of the third world. So this is the Equitarian Initiative. And our goal is to provide service and training. We provide service to the animals of the third world, the animals that are working so hard to support their families. And we provide training to indigenous veterinarians, veterinary technicians, students, and caregivers all over the world. Our first projects were in Mexico. We spent 5 years working with the University of Mexico and the donkey sanctuary there. That project is the one that became Michigan State's elective project. So now Michigan State students have a chance to go to Mexico for 6 weeks and learn about all sorts of working horse medicine. anyway, we formed this organization, and we have now been to all over Central America. We have a team that goes to Peru every July to work on the horses at Machu Picchu, which are thousands of horses, but no veterinarians or very few veterinarians. And the veterinarians that are there have no equipment, no, they're economically, they're in pretty bad shape. So it's a real challenge. Doing surgery at 15,000 feet is not my cup of tea, but
Oh gosh.
a member of our people do that. They'll be taking teams up into the highest parts of the Andes to see animals that are never going to be seen by another veterinarian, basically. So one of the things that we tell our students is that A, you treat these animals with the same respect you treat an Olympic jumper. You keep your standards as high as you would. You wear gloves, you scrub up, you do everything the way you're taught. And that brings things into focus because there are no shortcuts just because people can't pay you. If you're a quality veterinarian, you will do it the quality way no matter what, and then worry about the money. So it's one of those things that has meant a lot of things to a lot of people. We've changed career paths so many times for people who always wanted to do something but didn't know quite how to do it. So the Equitarian Initiative is something to put on your radar as a student or an intern. We take you to, in this case, I think this year they're going to Costa Rica again and plop you down in an immersion setting for a week or 10 days of work in the jungle on all sorts of problems that you will never see here.
I mean, all of it is so amazing. And you are talking about, like, even if students don't have any experience,
Oh yeah,
they can go with you.
absolutely. As long you got to have intelligence, you know, experience only counts a little bit. If you walk into one of these little clinics that we're running in the Dominican Republic and say, "Oh, I'd like to see a blood count and maybe some X-rays." Well, we don't even have electricity here. Sorry. We don't have running water. Sorry. Think about it. So you become a better veterinarian by being forced into thinking, using your stethoscope, using your thermometer, using your fingers and your brain.
I mean, I can't imagine the experiences that these people walk away with.
Oh, they do. They do.
It's amazing.
No question about it. And it'll stay with you for life. And we are trying to inculcate the concept of altruism. I think if you go to veterinary school these days, you are by definition an altruistic person because you are making exactly 50% of what your medical school colleagues, who are not as well educated, by the way, my humble opinion, who, who will be making lots more money, but you're doing it because you love animals and you love the people that love animals. And so it's very, very rewarding. It's a lot of fun. And one thing I can say is I've seen some of the most amazing surgical cases of my entire career. I did the largest scrotal hernia I have ever done, and I've done a lot of them, at a city park on a little coconut packing mule who had to either get fixed or die because his family was starving because he couldn't go pick coconuts. So we did a total scrotal hernia resection in a city park, probably 50 or 100 people coming by in their mopeds looking, say, what are these crazy people doing
Oh my gosh.
with the horse sleeping in the middle of the park? And he's fine. Right? Or he was fine. That was 30 years ago. He's probably unfortunately gone to pastures in heaven. But anyway, I've been confronted with some of the most amazing clinical challenges that I would, people aren't going to wait with an Olympic horse who has, some sort of a dental problem. They're going to have somebody fly in and do something the day somebody notices it. These animals haven't been seen for their entire lives. Dentistry is one part of the practice down there. We have several equine dentist veterinarians who come with us, and I've seen them. We usually soccer goal, whichever village has a soccer goal, and you hang the horses, you sedate them and hang them from the soccer goal, I've seen 6 horses at a time being worked on by 6 different equine veterinarians in a soccer goal with a supervising vet going around, making sure everybody's doing right. And it's unbelievable.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I can't even imagine.
Yeah. And we do the same thing with farriers. We took, well, we've always had Dr. Steve O'Grady has been my sidekick for years. He's an internationally known veterinary podiatrist, travels all over the world, again, working on the fanciest horses in the world. And then he comes to the Dominican Republic with me and works on the unfanciest mules and donkeys that you'll ever put your hands on. But the point is it's good medicine, and that's how you have to practice.
Yeah, that's amazing that you're able to help provide that for the animals and provide the experience.
The key is not only educating our students, but educating the veterinarians. Our charity actually paid bus and train fare or plane fare for veterinarians from when we were in Costa Rica. Veterinarians from Brazil wanted to come up and couldn't afford to come. So we paid their transportation to come up. And again, these are people who are practicing in Brazil who had very little clinical experience, but they have good hearts and they want to do the right thing. So they come to our clinics every year. We've had the same with veterinarians from Haiti and all over. Haiti had for years a contract with Cuba to train their veterinarians. So I worked with a group in Haiti after the earthquake, working on animals there, and the veterinary group and I could communicate only in Spanish. They don't speak English, they speak Creole or French or Spanish. So that was an interesting experience. The other experience linguistically that I've had, one of my proudest moments was in Morocco. I'm on the board of directors of a hospital in Morocco called the American Fonduc. I go there every year and teach a surgery course. And one year I was giving a lecture to a mixed group of Moroccan veterinarians and farriers, much like the programs you guys have or anybody has, where you get everybody together. So I was giving a talk on lameness. I was using, one of my talks was on hoof balance, and I was using a PowerPoint given to me by a Mexican veterinarian. So the PowerPoint is in Spanish. I'm talking in English. My assistant is talking in Arabic, translating my English to Arabic. And the other assistant, he was translating my English into French.
Oh wow.
So we had 4 languages going
my
at one
gosh.
time in that room. It's just magic. And everybody knew it. And we're training veterinarians and farriers and students. And the students had their own language. They're all from Glasgow, Scotland. Could barely understand anything they said. But they were a very interesting group. But that's how you get education, and that's how you retain enthusiasm for what you do.
No, I mean I can't imagine the amount of stories that you have after the experiences you've been.
I can't either.
But I was gonna ask in your time, this is a little bit of a different conversation, but I often talk about in my social media and people that I talk to about how there's, less and less people wanting to go into equine medicine and people are burning out and people are leaving. And I do think, there's some like progress being made with that. But you like as a mentor and like as a member of the field, like what are your thoughts and opinions on maybe like why people aren't as interested in equine medicine and also like what we
Well,
need to do?
I think the interest part comes from the fact that 99% of your students are from a very urban population base. They grow up with dogs and cats, horses they could see on TV, or maybe watch the Budweiser team trot down, after a football game or something. But so there's less experience generally but like I say, and many times those students become the best equine students because they're a blank slate. And I think I tell my professional colleagues who are teachers, don't do this. Don't sideline the kids who don't have experience. double your effort and make them have experience. The other thing is that programs like our Equitarian Initiative, Project Samana, other similar program, the American Fonduke has a program where you can go and spend a month in Morocco working at this hospital, which is by the case numbers, is the largest equine urgent care facility in the world. You walk out in the morning and there'll be anywhere from 10 to 40 people standing there holding their donkey, mule, or horse to be walked in. That's their appointment. They just know the doors open at 9 o'clock and they get to come in and whatever happens, happens.
Oh my gosh.
So student help is critical in that. We put students on the end of a lead shank and lead this donkey over here and let's go to work. So there are many opportunities for students, and I've already named 3, to do this sort of work, high intensity stuff that will get you enthused
Mm-hmm.
and then take you there. And there's no easy cure. I went through a time in my practice where I actually used the terms burnout, and I gave lectures on it. I gave veterinary professionals, I used to speak to groups and tell them how not to burn out. And it's self-care. My wife and I took 30, and my kids took 30 days away, period, from the clinic every year, period, end of story. If you don't take at least 30, and my staff knew that if I ever got home after 6 p.m., there had either been a nuclear explosion.
Yeah, you can't talk about that right now.
Or something some really serious emergency. But you just have to draw your own lines around yourself. And for God's sake, the thing we never had to cope with, I don't know how people do now, don't get on social media. Just forget any crank who's going to write a letter saying, "Oh, that Dr. Merriam, he was mean to my dog, or mean to my horse, or didn't smile when he, whatever."
Mm-hmm.
It's just nuts.
Yeah. It's hard to get people like that because that's the first thing that they'll turn to now for reviews.
I've never had the feeling that a bad Facebook review did anything good or bad to my business. People who know you. And that's all there is to it. And if you're just young and getting started, yes, it's a problem. But believe me, it is not the end of the world.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of support out there. The AAP has programs for counseling, mentoring, in-house. I mean, they can connect you with, and they're free, connect you with a psychologist who can help you walk through some of these things. So don't keep it inside. That's the wrong place for it.
Well, that's where I think like talking about it on things like podcasts or talking about it with people, talking about it with other professionals is the best way to kind of like acknowledge that it exists and get through it together. Dr. Johnson, you've surpassed the statistic of 50% of equine vets quit after 5 years. You're still here?
Still here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you are.
Do you know why?
How did you do that?
Well, I mean, I think you probably know, right? I mean, it takes a village,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I didn't get here alone.
No.
You're one of the people, I mean,
I think that you've hit it. So many young vets say, "Well, I'll just go out and practice all by myself." That is the worst thing. First off, you begin to believe what you say to a client. After a while, you don't have anybody to correct you when you start making some of these ridiculous statements about why a horse got this or that. But also, just you need somebody to bounce it off of.
and I mean, I think for me, it's been, I mean, it has been a series of trials and errors. I mean, I remember when I first bought into the practice, you've met Barry, my dad, and when I first bought into the practice, I remember, or was thinking about buying in, I remember talking to my dad, and he told me, "You're gonna get significantly older very fast. You're gonna,
Right.
you might be 27 today, but as soon as you sign those papers, you're gonna feel much, much older." And I'll be honest, I did not believe him.
Yeah.
And now I generally get what he was saying. You know, again, though, I think I've made a lot of mistakes early. I will continue to make mistakes, but, I've made a lot early. And, the team we have today and Hannah, you being someone here, um, who's been such a bright light for obviously so many students out there, and then kind of helping to support what we all believe. I mean, I think that's the thing, right? Is like we didn't really say like if you build it, they will come. We more said we're going to kind of pick this hill that we're going to die on, which is, mixed animal medicine and supporting private practice. And and I think by doing that, it allowed the right people to be attracted to the practice. And then it didn't happen overnight. I mean, it's taken 8 years just to get here. We're probably still not exactly where
There you
we.
go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's all about like picking which little window you want to look in. I mean,
Right.
if you had asked me in those first 2 years, I would have said, and this might not work. This could be bad. Certainly if you ask my boss from my internship, he would have not so nice things to say about my future as a horse vet or
Yeah.
maybe as a human. And so, I mean, I think I agree with you. I mean, you just have to listen to the supportive voices, ignore the ones that might not be supportive, and then really try to take away, I think, the little nuggets and little bits of learning that you're going to get from each experience, right? Like we talk a lot about um, the things we learn along the way. One of the biggest lessons I learned was from actually my dog that I had when I was, you remember Hazy.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But I always say like the last lesson I learned from her was the empathy portion, right? Like I learned the empathy of I didn't when when we have an animal we put down or whatever, I didn't really have the empathy because I hadn't really experienced that myself. But all of a sudden when you go through it yourself,
Oh,
it suddenly you can connect differently. And I mean, you can really touch clients in a different way by having that. So I think all of that to say is that like over the course of the years, it was all of the people that kind of teach you. It's your family, your friends, but then it's also each of those animals that you see along the way. They're teaching you something. There's so many of the horses, dogs, cats that have like taught me one little thing, and I continue to be taught. Right? I I'm not going to say it, but I learned a big lesson last week that Dr. Freeman and I experienced together about ketamine dosages, and that was a nice learning opportunity for me. But we're still, I mean, we're just, I think again, the way that we stop ourselves from unaliving ourselves, is that that's the
Yeah.
right term this
Mhm.
this time of the century. Yeah, is just like finding that support system and leaning on them. We've had a really tragic couple of weeks at the practice here at this practice, and I think the strength of our practice is the fact that we've been able to lean on each other for support, and that those who needed the support were immediately, I've always believed that like that kind of Buddhist teaching of that, like there's a finite amount of suffering in the world. And what we can do is we never actually we never actually get rid of suffering. We just share the suffering, right? And so I think that's always something I felt in vet med, is that like, when an animal passes away, we're actually just kind of sharing that suffering, or we're taking on that suffering. I think that's why vets struggle so much, right? Is that
well, yeah, yes, on specific on euthanasia,
yeah.
a friend of mine taught me a good lesson years ago, probably about the same time in my career as you are. She said, euthanasia is a gift, and it is a gift that we can give to an animal to end its life, suffering. Wish we could do it to people. I don't say that lightly, but I feel truly blessed when I can alleviate the suffering of an animal that we have gone far enough with. I met a young veterinarian from Hungary at the last meeting, We're talking about, she said, the hardest thing I have is to do euthanasia. I said, well, why do you do that? She said, oh, I just sob and I said, you're a veterinarian now. You have to be the only person at the scene who isn't crying. You have to be the professional. You have to do it right. And then what do? I said, you get in the truck and you cry. And we all do.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have. But you do not share that pain until your job is done.
Yeah. I do agree that it's a gift and it's a privilege, and especially in like some really bad scenarios,
Right.
it's a privilege to be able to help the crossing of the Rainbow Bridge. And
Yeah, and I mean, I think the only other thing I would just like mention on that topic of like how do you get through? Well, I think a lot of people also turn, and I myself included, right? Like we turn to maybe things that we shouldn't, right? You know, like substances, um, things like that, maybe bad relationships, whatever it might be. And then, I think over time, what you just have to find those things outside of that med that are going to keep you passionate in vet med, right? Like, I mean, for me, it has been pickleball, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I pickleball and hockey, like those have been things that have really, uh, it's been incredible for me. And so I think finding that, like Jay said, taking that time off, those kinds of things. I think that, I know we have to wrap up, but I do have one question for you, which
Sure.
I hope this isn't the last time you'll be here,
you'll be
but
back.
yeah, you'll be back. Um, my question for you is, how do I put it? There's this sense, and I think I see it a lot in students, there's this sense of running out of time, right? Everyone is always running out of time. And the concept of time when you're in your 20s, when you're 26, you're graduating from vet school, 27, whatever you might be, and equally when you're at my stage in my 30s, talking about running out of time. And we look at you, and like you said, you're a successful veterinarian, right? You've had success in so many paths. At what point have you run out of time? Because I think there's this kind of thought that, oh, well, I'm 35 or I'm 37 or I'm 45. I can't, it's too late to start. My story's already been written.
My wife always used to kid me. She said, you reinvent yourself about every 5 years, don't you? And I did. Some years, like I say, I was a surgeon. I'm just a big time surgeon. That's all I do. Then I realized that I do other things even better. And then I started giving motivational speeches around the country. I also gave professional talks. I've spoken at AAP 13 times. Um, and then I was appointed as chairman of the welfare committee. And that was really, we founded the welfare committee and the equine welfare committee. And that was huge because I already had a background. I had my Project Samana going and stuff. And I'd already seen that the the sympathetic side of our profession is what feeds me. And then, yes, I had my passions outside of the clinic as well. But when you have two young kids and they're doing stuff, why that becomes your passion
Mm-hmm.
for a while. It should. So I think that when you say you're running out of time, it just means the first quarter is ended. Get on ready for the second quarter. You better be tuned up. Halftime comes along, kids go off to college, then it's a whole different deal. So uh, look at it like that and don't worry about running out of time. That just means you get to rest for a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and then pick it up and don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to say, well, there aren't enough horses in this valley for me. I'm going to go do small animal surgery and then do charity work on the side, whatever. There's so many avenues for our profession to express itself. So
I
we're
agree.
all blessed.
I agree. Well, thank you so much for spending your time with us today.
It's a
And
pleasure. It always is. And I'm amazed at what you guys are doing here. This is wonderful.
Thanks. Yeah, well, we'll have you back soon.
I hope so.
absolutely. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast episode. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please give us a like, subscribe, and share. And maybe if you did or you didn't, please leave your comments and thoughts below. Do you agree with what was said in this episode? What are your thoughts on this industry topic? Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time.